Okay, so are you ready to dive into some seriously potent magical energy today?
I am so ready. Let's do it.
All right, because we are tackling the Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff, all those powers, that wild past, we're breaking it all down.
It's funny, right? Because when you say Scarlet Witch, it almost feels like we're talking about like two different people.
Phew, how so?
Well, there's Wanda, and then there's the Scarlet Witch. It's like she's got this dual identity thing going on. And the more you dig into the comics, the more it's like, whoa, she even defies simple categorization.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point because even her origins have been this source of constant debate.
Oh, tell me about it. Retcons on retcons. It's enough to make your head spin.
Right, so we've got someone who is born with magical potential.
Well, not born with it. I thought she was like a mutant.
Well, that's the thing, right? For the longest time, we're led to believe she and her brother Quicksilver are Magneto's kids, mutants with these off-the-charts abilities. But then, years later, boom, origin story revised.
Classic comic book move. But you're right, with Wanda, it's more than a plot twist. It's like they're saying even her very existence is this big question mark. Like, she's meant to keep us guessing.
And that totally plays into the whole, chaos magic thing,
Yeah.
right? She embodies that uncertainty.
100%. But before we get too far ahead, let's back up for a sec. Early days. Brotherhood of Mutants.
Oh, yeah, hanging out with Magneto, thinking he's her dad. Talk about family drama.
Seriously. And even then, her powers were something else. I mean, she's messing with probabilities, hexes and stuff. It's not your average mutant power set.
It's like she was tapping into something way bigger,
Right.
more primal.
Exactly. And figuring it all out as she went along, which, considering the level of power we're talking about, it's kind of terrifying, right?
No kidding. And it makes you wonder, if she hadn't joined the Avengers, would she have followed in Magneto's footsteps? Would she have even become the Scarlet Witch we know now?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it all comes down to this nature versus nurture, free will versus destiny. Big themes that play out over and over again in her story.
And that, my friends, is just a taste of the Scarlet Witch saga. We'll be back in a bit to dive even deeper. So last time we talked about how Wanda's got this unpredictable streak and how sometimes it feels like her very existence is this big cosmic question mark.
Right, and that's before she even hit her, shall we say, peak reality-bending years.
Precisely. And a lot of that chaos, that power, seems tied to her time with the Avengers.
Oh, absolutely. Joining the Avengers, for Wanda, it was like joining the circus while also holding a lit stick of dynamite.
Okay, so perfect analogy, because on one hand, you've got this team built on order.
Right.
Like saving the world, sticking to the plan, all that jazz.
Right. Structure, teamwork, the whole 9 yards.
And then you drop Wanda into the mix, a woman who can literally will it reality to change.
It's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
Or, really, really interesting comic book.
Or both. And we absolutely get both, but it's not all planetary level threats and existential crises, right? Because this is also where she meets Vision.
Ah, yes. Vision, the synthezoid heartthrob. You wouldn't think they'd be a match, would you?
No, she's all intuition and emotion, and he's like this walking, talking computer.
But somehow it works. For a while, anyway. They fall in love, get hitched, the whole deal.
And then comes the whole baby thing.
Ah, yes, the babies. This is where things get really complicated.
Because she uses magic to have them, right? Billy and Tommy.
She does. And this is a big deal for a couple of reasons. First, it shows that Wanda's powers have grown exponentially. We're talking about manipulating the very forces of life itself. And second, it opens the door, so to speak, for Mephisto.
Mephisto. Now, remind me, who's that again?
Only the Marvel Universe's resident demon lord. And he's got this nasty habit of manipulating powerful magic users, especially those who might owe him a favor.
Oh, right. Like creating life where there shouldn't be.
Exactly. And Mephisto being Mephisto, he eventually comes to collect.
So he takes the kids.
He does. And their life force, it's revealed to be a part of him or something. It's complicated, even for comic book logic. The point is, Wanda loses her children.
And that's when things go really sideways, right? Because that grief, that loss, it manifests as this massive wave of reality warping energy.
Pretty much. Enter Avengers Disassembles and House of M. Two of the most impactful events in Marvel Comics history, honestly.
And Wanda's at the center of it all, creating a world where mutants are in charge.
Which, on the surface, seems like Magneto's dream come true. But it's built on a foundation of pain and manipulation.
And it comes crashing down pretty hard.
With devastating consequences. No more mutants. Millions depowered. The ripple effects were huge.
It's like This tragic reminder that even with good intentions, that kind of power, unchecked, it can have some serious consequences.
So we left off talking about the massive fallout from House of M. No more mutants.
Wanda's grief literally reshaping reality, and not exactly in a good way, but you know what's remarkable? She doesn't just disappear after that.
Oh, absolutely not. In fact, you could argue that's when her story really gets interesting, because it becomes about redemption, about trying to find a place in a world she so fundamentally broke.
Exactly. And she tries to do that in part by rejoining the Avengers, right? Which, talk about awkward family reunion.
Right. I mean, she did dismantle the team,
Yeah.
and then there's the whole rewriting reality thing.
Yeah, not exactly a shining moment on her resume, but to her credit, she sticks with it, tries to make amends, faces down some serious threats, too.
She battles Cthulhu, who, let's be honest, is a demon obsessed with using her for his own nefarious purposes.
Again, the woman cannot catch a break, although there is that one detail you found in the comics about Wanda. Well, it's so unexpected, I have to ask you about it.
Go on.
Okay, so she opens a shop in Lot Jill. Am I the only one who finds this hilarious?
It is pretty great. You've got this incredibly powerful sorceress, someone who can reshape reality on a whim. And she's like, you know what I want to do? Open a little shop, sell some pastries, maybe offer some mystical advice on the side.
It's amazing, and it makes you wonder, does she just crave this normal life, a break from all the cosmic chaos?
It makes sense, doesn't it? Even for someone like Wanda. We all crave connection, a sense of purpose. And maybe for her, that involves a really good sourdough recipe.
Maybe. And then there's her love life. Because even someone who can manipulate probability can't seem to escape relationship drama.
Well, she is a soap opera staple for a reason.
The comics you dug up had it all. Vision, Wonder Man, even a hint of something with Captain America. It's like, even with her powers, some things are just messy.
Which I think speaks to that duality we talked about earlier, that push and pull between Wanda and the Scarlet Witch, between her desire for normal life and the reality of who she is.
And who she is, let's not forget, is a Nexus being, a focal point of magical energy for the entire universe. Talk about pressure.
No kidding. I mean, she's more than just a mutant, more than just a witch. She's a force of nature. And like any force of nature, she's capable of both incredible destruction and incredible creation.
So where does that leave us? We've explored her past, her powers, her questionable taste in men. What's the takeaway here? What makes Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch, someone worth diving deep into?
For me, it's the reminder that even with immense power, with the ability to rewrite the very fabric of reality, we still have a choice about who we want to be, what we want to fight for.
And that's something to think about, right? Not just for Wanda, but for all of us. And knowing what we now know about her connection to chaos magic, her potential, it makes you wonder, what does the future hold for the Scarlet Witch? What happens when someone who can bend probability to her will finally steps fully into her power? That's something I'll be thinking about long after this deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive into the fascinating world of comics. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment below if you enjoyed this episode.